Hey guys, this is Kachurin with Pickems for week 1 of season 1 of the Casual Cup. These pick'em videos are going to be short, quick little things where I just give you the matches at a glance and tell you who I think will win and why. Some of the matches were actually already played before I made this video for week 1 since I let people start before the official start date, but regardless of those results, I'm going to be picking matches based on how I believe they should have gone. Without further ado, first match is the Oshawa Oshawott, my very own, versus the Ace Alolan Ninetales. Now, I am picking myself for this match, personal bias aside. I think with webs up, the offensive threats that Sword of Strife has just go down pretty easily, honestly. The only one that's kind of difficult to take down is Garchomp, with everything else just being absolutely destroyed by Dugtrio and webs. And his only ways to remove webs are Rotom and Klefki again just goes down really easy to Dugtrio or even Golomalola. And then Rotom's the only thing left to remove webs, and Rotom is not going to take too many U-turns before it falls. As well as that, Scizor eats hits from pretty much everything on the team quite handily, so even if Sword of Strife does manage to get the webs down, it's still very, very hard for him to break my team. So yeah, I'm picking myself for this one. Personal bias, I'm great, but I think it's just really, really difficult for Sword of Strife to get the victory with this one. Next game is the Vigoured Vespiquen versus the Mischievous Merc Rose. I'm predicting the Merc Rose to take this win. Overall, Benji has a much faster team than Ryan, with the exception of Kartana, and Diancie and Zero Aura outspeeding everything just kind of destroy Ryan's team. And even the ground mons, the Palisand and the other one that I'm forgetting, that the Zero Aura and the Diancie can't really kill quite easily, get wrecked by Ferrothorn or Gyarados. It could be close if Ryan plays the Kartana very, very well. He does have the potential to take it, but if Kartana goes down, Benji really just has the matchup here. Moving on, we've got the Crabby Club versus the Garrig Mach Garchomps. My prediction for this one is going to be the Crabby Club. This is another close one. It's honestly really, really hard for Cobb to break through Tapu Bulu and Mega Garchomp, but I think he edges out with the speed advantage. Alakazam for the Garchomps aside, the Crabby Club has much faster threats. Plain and simple, the Garchomps just aren't well enough equipped to absorb all the damage being put out by things like Tapu Koko, by things like the Mega Gallade, and fire back. And Alakazam can be dealt with by Clawitzer or Dusclops or Cobalion, depending on what coverage moves it might be carrying. Next battle is the Venezuelan Vaporeons and the Staggering Staraptors. I think that the Vaporeons have the matchup with this one. I think it looks pretty good for the Venezuelan Vaporeons. While the Staraptors do have that insane bulk, the Vaporeons have multiple huge threats that can set up and just tear through it anyway. Namely Charizard X, Mega Charizard X. It's really easy because the Staraptors are a bulkier, slower team for things like the Charizard X to come in and set up. There aren't a lot of mons that really threaten it out. So if it gets a D-Dance off, all of a sudden the game's just going to be over. Rotom Wash, however, is a huge problem for the Vaporeons, and the Staraptors, if they use that Rotom Wash very, very well and keep it alive, they can definitely get through the Zard and the Volcarona and maybe take the victory, but I think this one's going to go in the favor of the Venezuelan Vaporeons. Next battle is the Williamsburg Whimsicott versus the Cosmic Crobats. I think the Whimsicott should take this one. On paper, the matchup just looks so good. Things like Jirachi, Victini, and Raichu Alola blow huge holes in Crow's team, the Crobats having a lot of common weaknesses in fire and electric. But the Crobats do have a bit of an advantage in speed, especially in Hail with Sandslash's Slush Rush, which makes it a little bit easier to deal with the threats that have those super effective type advantages. And if the Crobats can manage to get Auroraville up, not a lot of the Mons on the Whimsicott's team have the power to take KOs through Auroraville, even with super effective damage. The biggest threats, like I listed, Raichu Alola, Victini, Jirachi, they have respectable offensive stats, but nothing outstanding. So if the Crobats can get set up, it's kind of difficult for them to break them. But those big type weaknesses present on the Crobats team lead me to think this should be a W for the Williamsburg Whimsicotts. The next match is the Windsor Wurmples versus the Philadelphia Flareons. I'm predicting the Philadelphia Flareons for this one. There's not really much to say about this. The Flareons have just a way better team, honestly. Better speed tiers and stronger and more versatile threats. Necrozma in particular, with the right set, can just run a train on the Wurmples team. It's really, really hard to deal with that. The only things it's threatened by are Sharpedo and Skuntank, and both of those are dealt with handily by the Scolipede. If Necrozma does get taken down somehow, though, I could see the Winds of Wurmples pulling some shenanigans with the Latios. It does have the speed to beat out a lot of the Mons on the Flareon side, but honestly, I just don't think it's going to happen. Moving on to the next game, the Charming Chandelures versus the London Lycanroc. I think this one goes the way of the Charming Chandelures. While the Lycanroc do have those fast Mons with great offensive presence, the Chandelures have the same presence, and some of the Mons are even faster. They have all the tools necessary to really just dispatch the Lycanroc's offense, and even if Mikkel can keep up the attack, Uni has the defense required to handle it and dish the hits right back, namely in Nidoqueen and, to a lesser extent, the Bronzong, who both have really, really good matchups here. Smart Prep could still allow Mikkel to get the win if he has some surprises up his sleeve to deal with those defensive pivots and then keep his offense going, but it's going to be really, really hard even if he has the momentum on his side. So I think the Charming Chandelures and Uni are going to take this one. And the last match for this week is the Honourable Hounds with Fencer versus UU's Muslim Mewtwo's. What can I say? Fencer's biggest weakness is fighting. He's got 6 Mons that are weak to fighting, and UU has got an entire Mega Medicham. Houndoom does outspeed it, but I don't think that's going to be enough for Fencer to swing the match his way. Like, even with Houndoom outspeeding it, the Medicham can always whittle it down with fake outs and switches if it needs to do something like that, and Fencer just doesn't really have the tools to deal with UU's team. UU's team has a lot of weaknesses too, but Fencer's Mons don't really punish them. UU has a big ice weakness, but Fencer doesn't have anything to do that. The one thing I can see that's good for Fencer is if he gets the rocks up, he can play the long game because UU's team is so weak to rocks and because his defoggers don't really want to come in on rocks. But again, if Mega Medicham is still up, none of Fencer's walls are going to survive long enough to stall UU out and get the victory. So I think just Mega Medicham alone is enough to make me call this one in the favor of the Muslim Mewtwo's. And there you go. That was a quick Week 1 Pickems from me, Kachurin. If you disagree, let me know. Tell me what you think. What do you think of the matchups? Who do you think should be winning them? I'll be back with Week 2 Pickems next week, as well as a review for Week 1, so I can go over the matches that were played and, you know, talk about where I was right and where I was wrong with the Pickems. But that's been it from me. I'll see you guys in the next one.